Yo, it's me, C-S-C-O-T-T, baby. We're in the living room for this one. Yeah. So, the problem with Logan, let me start. I'm here to review, the 2017 film Logan, starring Hugh Jackman, Patrick Stewart, and is directed by James Mangold. So, the problem with Logan is not that it's not a very good film. I also have the Steelbook. Let's see. It's not that it's not a good film. It's a great film. I absolutely love this movie. The problem stems from the rewatchability. Alright? Since this movie was released, I've seen it now, counting this watch, 3 times. The first time was in the theater, in color, you know. And, now, this time, as well as the first time when they announced the home release, they say they're going to have a noir version, which is in black and white. That's also what I watched this time. Now, here, I'll show you something quick. It's the menu, so I don't want any, that's the menu. Quick enough, you can't tell what's on there. I just want to kind of show the menu there. Menu's in black and white, and if you saw it quick enough, I didn't want to show too much. It fits the whole screen, the menu. But you play the movie, and it's, well, it's in mandatory widescreen. So it seems like movies nowadays, they can't have them fill the whole screen. That doesn't take away the impact. I think if you're going to watch a version of this film, black and white's the way to do it. And I know what you're saying, hey, you watched the movie in black and white, why aren't you doing a review in black and white? Well, that's a simple answer for a simple question. The film itself is not a black and white movie, per se. Could it work as a black and white movie? Obviously, yes. And should they have made it black and white to begin with? Yes. Would it have made much sense for the rest of the franchise? No. But then again, this movie is more of a, and I know this is a DC term, but it's more of an Elseworld story. It tells a story that doesn't really connect to the rest of the franchise, and then we get X-Men Apocalypse, or X-Men Dark Phoenix, that completely takes this away. But it's kind of like an Elseworld story if you think about it. It takes place in the future. It's not a post-apocalyptic future like I thought, but it's the future. Wolverine is on his own after an incident that caused the death of the rest of the X-Men. Yeah, that's one of the things I'm not too happy about, but I'm gonna have to deal with it. Just get you out. And we find out later that the incident was that the professor, as he gets older, his powers are becoming more unstable. And that caused the death of everyone in Westchester, which is the city or town, the city in New York where the school was. So once again, school was destroyed. Man, that school gets... Man, no one likes that school in this franchise. But, now Wolverine is on his own. And you know, I thought about this. The first time I watched this, I was iffy on his healing factor. Because now it's not working the way it's supposed to. And I'm like, we did this with the Wolverine. They're just rehashing stuff. I didn't like it in the Wolverine. And when I first watched this, I didn't like it here either. It's a way to dumb him down. To where he can be beaten down and stuff can happen to him. And it works with the plot. That's all it was. Still is. But I understand it, watching it now. He's getting older. Human or mutant or not. Human or mutant, human or not. Your body, when you get older, it's not going to work like you want it to. But here's the thing. Wolverine should be like 172,000 years old right now. If we go by the logic of X-Men Origins Wolverine, if you can call it logic, he should be over 500 years old at least. And just now, his body is starting to degenerate to the point where his healing's not working like it should. Okay. Before I continue, I forgot the post-credit scene in X-Men Apocalypse. It showed a bunch of people going to that facility where Wolverine broke out of in Apocalypse. And it shows them collecting Wolverine's DNA. That connects to this. It's also supposed to connect to X-Men Dark Phoenix. Bullshit. And the New Mutants. Are we ever going to get that now? I don't know. But they use it mostly here. And they say that the DNA they used to create Laura, or X-23. They created different mutants with powers. I guess this one is basically based off of his DNA. And she has the two claws, because that's from the comics and stuff. And he's got to protect her. So it's like a road trip movie, post-apocalyptic road trip movie, kind of like Mad Max, if you will. It's Logan, Professor, and Lara. Now we also have a version of Caliban in here. Caliban, who was introduced in X-Men Apocalypse, played by a different actor, and I believe had a different set of powers. Not that there was much showing. Like, he showed he had mutant sense or whatever. And I know he was, in the dark most of the time in X-Men Apocalypse, but does the sun actually burn him? We don't really get anything of that in Apocalypse, but then when they portray Caliban in this one, the sun burns him. And I don't know if that's, continuity problem, or if they just didn't do anything with the character enough in Apocalypse to show his powers. Probably the latter, I'm just saying. The bad guys, okay? The villains are this group that created Laura, and they're Boyd Holbrook, who is great in this film, and Richard E. Grant are the two main villains. And then we have X-24, who, and I'm sorry, I firmly believe this was supposed to be Sabretooth. Leading up to this film, it was heavily rumored that Liev Schreiber was going to reprise his role. And when we get to the point where they release X-24, it's Wolverine, but the way he looks, shaved head, beard thing, looking just like Liev Schreiber's Sabretooth from X-Men Origins Wolverine. I'm sorry, but if you sit here and try to tell me that wasn't supposed to be Liev Schreiber's Sabretooth, I'm going to call you a fucking liar. It looks just like him. I know you said, oh, but that's him from the comics. I don't care. I don't care if he looks that way in the comics at one point. That's supposed to be Sabretooth. But they couldn't get Liev Schreiber to come back, probably because of that Ray Donovan show he's in. So they just made it another Wolverine. Which makes sense with the context of they have his DNA, so it makes sense. But if they could make a Wolverine clone that follows their every command, why not just make an entire army of that instead of a bunch of mutant kids? I mean, command? Doesn't it make more sense? Have an army of Wolverines that can't die, and you got the healing factor, you got the claws. But no, you want kids. Just saying. And the villains aren't that bad, but I forgot that Boyd Holbrook was in the later part of the movie. There's a part where Caliban blows himself up in the back of the truck, and Holbrook is in there. He jumps out, but I thought he was still dead. And then later I'm watching the movie, oh, he's still alive? Okay, fine. Eric LaSalle. Now, I don't know much about him other than ER. And I don't know how many movies he's been in, but he deserves more. He was great in this movie. the time he was in, may his character rest in peace, the professor is dead. Professor dies. But it's a long journey. He's old. It's about time. Wolverine dies. You know what? Fine. I remember I saw this. I expected it. It's not like I was, oh no! No, I was like, yeah, okay, I get it. It's been a long time. This was his last movie. He was going to die. And now I'm going to take you back to the Wolverine. Yukio's prediction of Wolverine's death. You die with your heart in your hand. He dies holding Laura's hand. Laura, who is like a daughter to him. Basically. She predicted his death. I'm telling you right now, she predicted his death. Whether different timelines or not, she predicted his death. Because in this timeline, I doubt they actually met, but she still predicted his death. So, she said in that movie, whatever she sees is going to come true. She never saw Mr. Yamashita's death, yet he died. And she says she didn't see it. But he wasn't dead. And so she saw Wolverine's death, but he didn't die at the time she thought he was going to. This was the time. And she saw it, so it came true, whether it was in the same timeline or not. And people say this is the best X-Men movie. Well, it's not an X-Men movie exactly. It's a Wolverine movie. To me, an X-Men movie is the ensemble cast of X-Men. This is 2 X-Men and the future of the X-Men. That's it. It's the best Wolverine movie, but it's not an X-Men, not the best X-Men movie. There are a couple more X-Men movies I like better than this, but it is a well-deserved goodbye for Wolverine. If Hugh Jackman is done, there's rumors saying he's going to come back in the MCU. Probably not. But if this is his last film, it's a great way to go out. You see how Wolverine is struggling. I'm not such a big fan of killing off all the X-Men after they went to Days of Future Past to bring them all back. But if you treat this, like I said, like an Elseworld story, it works. Where it's not necessarily, you could take this out of context in its way in the future. Fine. But then, like I said, X-Men Dark Phoenix comes along and shit's all over it. But we'll get to that. This is going to be me foreshadowing X-Men Dark Phoenix until it happens. But, oh no, this movie gets a 9 out of 10. It's a pretty good film. I enjoy watching it. It doesn't have the rewatchability of the other ones just because of the feel to it. Whenever I do watch it, I watch the noir version. And I do enjoy it. But it's not one I watch often. If I want to watch one to get enjoyment out of, I watch any of the other ones, basically. And Deadpool. So what are your thoughts on Logan? Let me know in the comments below. Like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one.